Hey guys, what's up? I'm Erin and welcome back to the channel. When do you think you'll be able to retire? Or phrased differently, when do you think you'll be financially stable enough to no longer need a regular paycheck? Most of us work for decades getting that paycheck with the hopes of one day being able to step away from the workforce and instead focus on things we love rather than filling out TPS reports or responding to an endless barrage of emails. Well, Investopedia recently conducted a survey of 4,000 individuals, 1,000 from each generation, to see what their retirement plans were. So let's take a look. Gen Z, the youngest generation ranging in age from 18 to 25, expects to retire at the age of 57. And the majority of Gen Z members feel that their primary source of income in retirement will be their 401k savings plans. It may come as no surprise that the youngest generation has optimistic dreams about retiring relatively young, because if you're 18 or heck, even 25, the age of 57 can feel like a long way off, and it can feel old. Now, I remember when I was 20 and I was planning out my life trajectory, I remember thinking by 30, I will have everything all figured out and I will be able to retire at 40. Well, that didn't quite work out as planned. Here I am, mid-30s. I certainly don't have everything all figured out, and I'm definitely not gonna retire at 40, but moreover, I don't even want to because I love what I do. The big takeaway here is that life plans change over time. Who you were, what your priorities are at 20 are likely to be very different than they are at 40 or even at 60 and beyond. But the great news here is that 42% of Gen Z members say they are already planning for retirement. Even among late teenage respondents, there were members already saving for their retirement. And that's incredible because the very best thing you can do to be successful on your journey for building wealth and being able to retire early is to give yourself a long compounding period. Give yourself a long time in the market. If you started saving just $350 a month at the age of 18, by that expected retirement age of 57, 39 years later, you could have over $1 million. But if perhaps instead you decided to retire at a more traditional age of, say, 65, starting at 18 and investing just $350 a month, you would have over $2 million. Now, of course, it's unlikely that your savings rate would stay the same for 40 or 50 years, which is a good thing because inflation is a reality of which we're all very well aware of right now. So inevitably, you would save more and you would retire with more, which is a good thing, but you still want to start as early as possible to make that journey as easy as possible. Now, I love that so many young people are already factoring in or at least thinking about retirement in some capacity. And if you want to retire early, more power to you. But if you decide that you one day change your mind and maybe you want to go for a more traditional retirement age, maybe you find that $1 million or even $2 million doesn't go as far as it used to, the fact that you started young stacks the deck in your favor and makes it easier for you to build wealth. If you do want to retire early, here are some quick tips. Get clear on what you want that retirement to look like. Are you going to travel, live abroad? What does early retirement mean for you? Different retirement dreams have different price tags. Create a plan. Figure out how much that retirement is going to cost. Put a number to it. It makes it real. Cut cost. Keep your expenses in check and trim any unnecessary ones. But remember, there is a point where frugality can be taken too far. Find a way to boost your earnings. Continue your training and your education and prioritize career advancement to boost your income. Ditch the debt because retirement is honestly harder with debt. And finally, invest early and invest often. Next up, we have millennials, those aged 26 to 41. They are expecting to retire at the age of 61. And while this is slightly older than those Gen Z members are planning on retiring, it still does show that millennials are hoping to beat that traditional retirement age and retire slightly early. 34% of millennials say their 401k will be their primary income source in retirement. 33% think it will be Social Security. And here's a surprising stat. 28% think cryptocurrency will be funding their retirement. It's worth noting that survey respondents were able to select multiple answers in this category, but those were the top 3. And quite frankly, I'm kind of surprised to see cryptocurrency rank so high as a viable retirement income. I know cryptocurrency has been incredibly hyped up in the recent years, but as we've seen, it's also incredibly volatile and worth noting, completely unregulated. Call me plain Jane, but I will take index funds and stocks and real estate as a viable retirement income any day of the week over cryptocurrency. I think a small exposure to cryptocurrencies is fine. Perhaps it is an emerging asset class. I myself do have a very small exposure to cryptocurrency. However, I am not going to put my future hopes and dreams of a retirement in the hands of this very volatile asset class. But hey, to each their own. After all, finance is personal. But no matter what you are investing in, please make sure you understand what you're investing in, that you do your own research, that you actually have a strategy that you're following when it comes to investing, and that you invest according to your risk tolerance level. 47% of millennials say that they do their own investment and financial planning research online rather than utilizing a financial professional. And a full 40% say they rely primarily on YouTube for their financial education. First off, if you're a fellow millennial, hey there. Second off, let me know in the comments what generation you're in and how you prefer to learn about the latest in personal finance or even learn about personal finance. If it ends up being YouTube and this channel, well, that's just gonna make my day. Next up, we have Gen X, those aged 42 to 57, and they expect to retire at the age of 64. And the majority of those in this age bracket expect Social Security to be their primary source of income in retirement. You might notice a trend here. As the generations get older, that expected retirement age increases a bit. And that could be for any number of reasons. Perhaps they actually find that they enjoy the work they're doing. It brings them some level of satisfaction. Perhaps they find that life is more expensive than they thought and they need to beef up their savings and their investments before they can actually step away from the workforce. Or perhaps they simply change their mind. Sometimes people do just change their mind. Working just a bit longer can have a profound impact on your retirement. That's one more year for your investments to grow, one more year for you to save and continue investing, one more year that you're not withdrawing on your investments. And studies show that you can actually boost your retirement income anywhere from 5 to 12% simply by working an additional year and delaying retirement. For instance, let's say you have $1 million invested. If the market returns 8%, the next year you would end up with $1,080,000. If you use the rule of 4%, allowing your portfolio to grow that additional year would result in an additional $3,200 in annual income. A 3-year delay in retirement could result in an almost $10,000 annual income increase in retirement. Not to mention that delaying your Social Security benefits can increase your Social Security payout for the rest of your life. Ultimately, when you are ready to retire and when you are ready to draw on your Social Security benefit, that's a personal decision. But just keep in mind that even brief delays can have a major impact on your retirement income. According to a global retirement study, the vast majority of people over the age of 50 say they will have to continue working longer than expected. And 40% of investors in this age bracket say that it will take a miracle to retire securely. Finally, we have the baby boomers, age 58 to 76. Of those who are not retired, they expect to retire at the age of 68. A full 70% of baby boomers plan to rely on Social Security as their primary income source in retirement. Again, we see that the expected retirement age gets another uptick, and we see a heavy reliance on Social Security. And such a heavy reliance speaks to a lack of savings and a lack of investments. Now, in no way am I trying to underscore the importance of Social Security. The average Social Security payout is about $1,600 per month as of 2022. And if you live for 30 years in retirement, that can represent over $600,000 in value, which of course would be adjusted for inflation over time. If you qualify for the maximum Social Security payout, which is over $4,000 a month, that's the equivalent of over $1.4 million in assets. So clearly, Social Security matters to retirees. But having your own investments and your own cash reserves to fall back on is still a good idea. Just as you want your own emergency fund during your working career, you still want your own emergency fund to fall back on in your retirement years. And arguably, these cash reserves and investments should be larger than during your working years because you no longer have a paycheck. And yes, you have Social Security, but it's likely to be less than your paycheck was. The typical retiree only has anywhere from $75,000 to $85,000 in investments or cash-like equivalents outside the equity of their home. And that is a very small amount if you are trying to make that last for the next 30 years or so. And when asked what their primary money concerns were, each generation had a slightly different answer. And it's understandable because at different phases of your life, you're likely to worry about different financial matters. Baby boomers say their top financial concerns are retirement and consumption, basically making sure that they keep their spending in line with their available resources while still being able to meet their needs. The top money worries for Gen X are building enough for a future retirement and also having bridge accounts or having access to current savings in case they want to step away from the workforce early. The concerns of millennials are more centered around keeping their current savings rate high or trying to boost their current savings rate and keeping their debts at manageable levels. And finally, Gen Z, their chief concerns are saving enough for their future and paying taxes. It seems like no matter what age you are, having enough money in order to be able to set some aside for your future or having a little wiggle room in your budget is a primary concern, which isn't really all that surprising, being that 2/3 of our country reportedly lives paycheck to paycheck. There's a trend. The younger you are, the earlier you expect to retire. And maybe you will retire early, or maybe you'll retire later than expected. Quite honestly, it's hard to shoot for something with any level of precision when that target is 30 or 40 or 50 years away. The best thing you can do is have a generalized plan for your future, but be flexible in your approach because life changes and you will change and you will adapt to those changes that life throws your way. Let me know what your plans are for retirement. What date are you hoping to shoot for? Let me know in the comments down below. I read every single one of them and I reply to as many as I possibly can. I post new videos every single week. If you got anything at all out of this one, please give it a like. If you're new here, please consider subscribing, or if you know of someone who might get something out of this type of content, please consider sharing. I hope you have a good one. I'll see you soon. Bye. To no longer depend on a day-to-day, nope. And the majority of Zen, even among time horizon. No, I didn't like that. Okay. More time in the market. Budget for those boomers. Ooh, I shouldn't say that. My stomach is so loud right now. Love that so many people, whew, I'm pretty vanilla. Small portion, very small. Oh gosh. That'd be pretty cool. And the majority of those, you might notice a trend here. Underscore the important, I don't like that at all. Yet another cash reserves, cash reserves and cash reserve, what the heck? Okay, we got this, third time's the charm. Because 2023, nope, 23 is not the same as 2/3. The earlier, okay, let's go again. I am so hot, oh my gosh. Literally cannot have this hair down. Peanut butter cup, I'm all done. Peanut, peanut, peanut.